So, yeah, this entire month we are talking about independence, and somehow it's not only us and children, sometimes even Wi-Fi and internet also need some independence from us. So they just go away from our lives. And that's what I think one of the medium has chosen for today. So I think we're not live on Facebook today. We are only on Instagram, but we'll upload this video if we can on Facebook. So
Sure,
I'm
sure.
beginning. Hmm, Independence and freedom and child. That's what is the theme of August month. The first was a very beautiful talk where Ratnesh was a very interesting perspective of what do we want. We want child to do independently or think independently. And the moment we are separating these two, there is a lot of clarity which is coming to us that maybe the child is already thinking independently. The child is already in every situation of life, child is maybe already thinking independently. And when it comes to doing independently, maybe we also don't do everything independently. We also rely on so many people in our surroundings. So that's something that we can always re-look at. And the second one was being free from independence. I think, yeah, freedom from independence was the topic. And I think I was a perfect mother, a perfect example for the fish, where we discussed some of the things that I am into struggling mode. And a very simple shift of perspective, like let's say, even if the child is choosing to be dependent, it's a choice that the child is making independently. Am I able to see that? Am I able to see independence in dependence also? I think that's what the whole beauty of the conversation was, and it just blew my mind. And I think the third today's topic is like, oh, because when Ratnesh say that it's freedom or responsibility, I started thinking so much about it, and one thing which struck to me was, why are we saying it's freedom or responsibility? Wherein we always say wherever there is a freedom, there is a responsibility. So generally, it's like they both go hand in hand. And I also remember very strongly one of the open learning talk on Saturday days that what Aarohi does since more than a year now. In one of the talks, Ratish very clearly said when we talked about open learning that somebody asked that it's like, being free, doing whatever you want to do, then how the child will learn how to be responsible. And I remember Ratish saying maybe it's not about freedom, it's all about responsibility. And that was something which just, hit me so hard that maybe it's just not about freedom kind. But now when I heard this, I was again in the dilemma of where are we going? So I was like, let's discover this with Ratnesh. So Ratnesh, let's begin. You can begin with the big slams or the big hammers on
Okay.
my.
Where do we start? So, first of all, meaning you're saying that there are two sides of the same coin or whatever, same hand, and in some ways, yes, but in some ways they're totally different. They're at least in most of the minds, okay, in most of our minds, they're two different concepts. When we think about freedom, we think about just about doing. What comes to the mind first is free. I can do whatever I feel like doing, right? And if I say I'm giving you freedom, that's the kind of thought that comes to mind. But when we say, hey, I'm giving you responsibility, now responsibility is a heavy word. Freedom is like a light flying word, while responsibility is oh my goodness, I've got responsibility, man. So they're different. Yeah, they go hand in hand, but they are different. And which is why it will be important for us to clearly think which one we want. How do we look at the child? How do we look at ourselves as parents? And how do we look at this relationship between the parent and the child, or even a teacher and a child? Is it about transacting freedom? First of all, can I even give freedom to anybody, right? Or is it about giving responsibility? See, which one can you give? Suppose you say, you have to listen to me. Is it really true? I have to listen to you. No, you will keep on saying you have, even if you keep a gun on my head, I need not listen to you, right? I can still be thinking or be anywhere else in my world. So in that sense, you can't give me the freedom because I already have freedom. I have freedom to think. I have freedom to not think, freedom to do, freedom to not do. Even if you tie me up completely, I still have freedom. I can start laughing. And you may be wondering, what is this guy up to? I've tied this person. Even if you slap me, I can be laughing. So I have freedom, isn't it? You are not giving it to me. Even if you try to take my physical freedom away, even if you try to take my mental freedom away, even if you try to watch me, I still have the freedom to listen to you and at the end of it, just shrug it away. Right? So in that sense, you cannot really give me freedom because I already have it. But that's not the same with responsibility. Yeah, that responsibility is very interesting because responsibility can be given or not given or withheld, right? I can withhold the responsibility of something, and you can also even reject the responsibility of something, even if I give it to you, because you have the freedom. So that's just underlining the first point. But coming back to freedom, coming back to responsibility, that's something it's given or taken. Right. So you can give me the responsibility in the sense, for example, we are doing this We Talk here. So you can say, Ratnesh, you have no responsibility in this We Talk. I will do all the talk. You just be there laughing all the time. So cool. Then I have no responsibility. Then I can just be laughing all the time. But you might say just the other way around. You might say, Ratnesh, it's all your responsibility. I will be doing all the laughing all the time. Right. So, or you can say it's like together responsible. So what you say is what you are giving me. I may not accept it, but at least there's a transaction there. And chances are, at least between, let's say, a parent and a child, and a teacher and a child, or even between children within themselves, this can be given or not given. I can choose not to give a responsibility to you, or I can choose to give a responsibility to you. So let's pause here. I've been going too fast.
Yeah. I'm just thinking and again visiting, the freedom part, that when you are saying that freedom is there, I mean it's just there. I mean, neither somebody can give it, no, nor somebody can take it. Even if, let's say, somebody is trying to take it physically or even mentally, you still have always a choice to choose your freedom over everything. And I guess I'm just being there with the whole thought of how responsibility can be given and also not given, or maybe taken. And I'm also looking at it from the perspective, what happens when we have a freedom? Is it also along with freedom bringing responsibility, or simply because we just have a freedom, the responsibility becomes a different thing altogether? So I'm still maybe swimming here in all of
Yeah,
the
let's
questions
take a
and
simple example. Let's say guests are coming to my house, and I say to my child, "Hey, guests are coming, but you can decide what you want to do, and I'll take care of all the food and snacks." Right. So in some ways, I've in a way voiced the freedom which anyway the child had. Even if I would have said you have to do something, he need not, or she need not have done it. Right. Even if I would have expected her to be with the guest and, let's say, be well behaved and take care of them, give good hospitality, she need not have done it. In that sense, he or she is free, right, to be however he or she
yeah,
is. But me saying it by itself, okay, may relieve the child of some pressure. But anyways, the child, I'm just trying to say, we are just making ourselves happy by saying you are free to do whatever you feel like doing. However, look at the second statement. When I say I am taking care of the food and the snacks, now it's much easier because I've already withheld that responsibility. In a way, I'm saying to the child, you don't need to be responsible for that. I could even be thinking the child is not capable of being responsible for that, right? Or whatever. So whether the child is capable or not is a different question. But I'm thinking, could be thinking that way. But let's keep that aside. The main part is I'm not giving not inviting the child to be part of the responsibility. The same thing I can say, okay, I will take care of the food and snacks, but I would like if you can also be equally responsible for whatever food and snacks for the guests. Right? So there I am kind of partnering the responsibility. It's like a joint responsibility. And the third could be, okay, I will be busy talking to them, so you take care of the food and the snacks, which is where I'm giving the whole responsibility on to the child. Right? Now, we are not going ahead with the discussion, the child may reject, select, whatever, but that's not the point. It's just differentiating between freedom and how within responsibility is more transactionable. But freedom isn't really transactionable. Freedom is just there. We think we can control somebody's, freedom, which we are really, we just think like that. But we all know how we slept in all professors' class and all teachers' class, and even bosses saying, do it this way, do it that way. And we could always make up our ways of, things which we felt that were impinging on our freedom. So, yeah, that's how I look at it. Which is why I feel, let's not think, so it's a totally, completely different time when we look at a child not from the window of freedom. So I don't tell children that you have freedom, or I don't even think, forget telling. When I'm alone and I'm thinking about children, my child, other children, I don't think in terms of freedom. Okay, I think always in terms of responsibility. I think in terms of how I can, and what is the most important responsibility the child has is the responsibility for self. Right? Forget responsibility for food and drinks, forget responsibility of anything. How will it be if guests are coming to my place and I say, let's say Vishruti is a child, and I say, Vishruti, today guests are coming to your place and you are responsible for yourself. Oops, what does that mean? And now you figure out what does it mean, because it's your responsibility in any case. It's like whatever you do, however you do, you are still your responsibility.
Yeah. I think what you're saying is making a lot of sense to me. I was always thinking that once you give the freedom, the child learns to be responsible. But I think now the other way to look at the same thing is maybe we are not giving or taking the freedom at all. I mean, the freedom is just there. And child, any which way, is in that zone only. But I think when we talk from the responsibility perspective, a lot of things start changing. Yeah, I think, it makes sense. But then, Ratnesh, what if the child, I mean, that's where everyone struggle. Even my struggle would be there only. What if the child denies to take that responsibility? What if the child
Okay,
still wants to?
let's take a totally different example. Okay, have you ever broken a traffic rule, Vishruti, knowingly, as in you are going to break it? Let's say you jumped a signal or parked in a no parking zone or went in a one way or something, some traffic rule, knowingly, right? So what happened to your responsibility at that time? Or let me clarify, were you responsible at that time for something else? Let's say reaching somewhere on time. Let's say taking care of somebody or something or you prioritize that responsibility over responsibility towards a traffic rule.
Totally.
Yeah. So why did you break the rule? What to say? Because something else is what was on your mind as higher priority. So in the sense that required your responsibility, not the other one.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So in that sense, so you had the freedom. You had the freedom to choose what to be responsible about. And you chose to be responsible for traffic rule. In this case, you broke a traffic rule, but about something else, whatever else was more important to you.
Yeah.
Right? So what I'm trying to come at is so what I'm trying to get at is that responsibility is very interesting. It's not just one thing. It's not about just choices. It's about weighing the choices, understanding them, and thinking through them, working through them. So there's a lot of effort involved in it, right? Mental effort involved in it. Not so much physical, but a lot of mental effort involved. Well, freedom does not per se require. It is just choices. You want vanilla, you want chocolate, you can choose. Freedom. I can choose anything. But now, if I have to, exercise my responsibility, now that. So what happens is, as parents, we normally transact or think that we are transacting freedom. We say choose whatever you want to. But when we invite the children, or for that matter anybody, to not transact on freedom but on transact on responsibility, which means let's talk about responsibility, let's get engaged with responsibility, let's understand, let's discuss. Now that's our work. Right? And when we do this kind of work with children, that becomes very interesting. Yeah, it's not like ever the child will be nobody is like 100% responsible, because responsibility is a matter of priority, right? But the child then starts realizing that every decision he or she is responsible for himself, and then starts thinking through that. Not that that will match your expectation as a parent, but the fact that we can go back to it, discuss it, analyze it, explore it, understand it, extrapolate it. If they would have done this, what would have happened? If we would have done that, what would have happened? So there is so much work that can be done, both by the child and a little bit by the parent, or maybe a lot of it by the parent together with the child. Now the relationship is active and engaging and involving, because I, as a parent or a teacher, can do so much with children. We have got job to do, Vishruti. In freedom, there is no job to do. I'll say, Karo jo karna hai types. And then when you do what I don't like, I crib about it. But here I've got a job to do. I have a job to do, to engage, to involve, to discuss, to debate, to converse, to argue, to do all kinds of very, very interesting things.
Yeah, I think to give responsibility is also an art. I see a lot of time, a lot of people stuck believing that I am responsible and the other person, and I think that's the case with a lot of parents, including me. For a lot of times, I wouldn't separate myself, but every time I feel that I want to give this to my child, I also will have a fear, will he be able to do that? And I think that's the moment that I am unable to let go of the responsibility and believe in the child. So, yeah, I think
Since you,
we have a.
let me catch you. Okay. When you say let go, what do you want to let go of?
The responsibility.
Okay.
Or maybe um, maybe the power to choose kind the responsibility that you know yeah, yeah.
No, let's stay with responsibility. I think I like your answer. The problem is, we think we have to let go of the child and our desires and our wishes and our expectations. I'm saying don't let go of any of that. Let go of the responsibility. When you let go of the responsibility, because that is a let goable thing. Okay, in a way, I'm saying you are responsible for yourself. I am not, right? I'm letting go, because till now I was thinking that I'm controlling you. Now I'm letting go and saying, no, you are in control of yourself. So I'm not letting go of the child. I'm not letting go of my wishes, desires, expectations. None of those. I am letting go of my responsibility of you. Or rather, I'm letting go of this whole thing that I need to control you or I need to drive you. And now that you can break your own traffic rules, I can let you drive your own car. If we kind of come back to the same situation, I can let you drive your own car, because now you are responsible for your car, your drive, your journey. So you are right. We have to let go not of the child per se, not of anything else, but let go of the responsibility. It's almost like saying, I wish you were a billionaire, Vishruti. That is my wish. That is my real wish. But it's your responsibility. It's my wish, but the responsibility is yours. See, now I can, like, in a fantasy world, say that Vishruti will be a billionaire, right? But it's not my responsibility, it's her responsibility. Or whatever else I want to wish Vishruti to be. If I say, Vishruti, I wish that you were a very kind-hearted person, I can say that. I can still wish, I can have that expectation, but I can say, but it's your responsibility. So if you are not kind, or you are unkind, let's say, in some ways, it was your responsibility, it wasn't mine. So I can't hold anything else, but I can still engage you with a discussion. Okay, what happened? Why did you choose that? How did you choose it? What else could have happened? How else could we have chosen?
Yeah, I'm just thinking, how do we let go of the whole responsibility part?
Well,
कभी सोचा ही नहीं है कि ये भी मतलब निकाल सकते हैं लाइफ में. I've never thought
yeah,
of it.
that,
Or
that's
maybe the way I look at responsibilities, maybe I think I've made that word very heavy. Maybe I've given too much of weightage to the responsibility itself, so that the relationship of me and my child is maybe one step below the responsibility. Maybe for me,
yeah.
responsibility could be
I'll tell
too
you how
higher towards it.
it's very easy. The prop What you have to remove is the weed. Now the weed is the word freedom. Normally parents, what I have observed, and even for me for some time, uh, we think in terms of freedom. We think isko freedom de dete hai, we should give more freedom. No, we should not give freedom. Too much freedom is not good. Oh, he's always on gadget. How much freedom can I give him to be on the gadget? So we are constantly thinking in the terms of freedom. Now that's funny, because that anyway we can't do much. We can shout, we can snatch the tab, and we can, or the mobile phone, or whatever, we can do some actions, but that doesn't. Oh, he or she will figure out one way or the other to get by that, right? So that doesn't work. Now, if you start thinking not in terms of freedom, realizing that freedom is anyway a given thing, or rather is non-transactionable. What is really transactionable is the responsibility. Now you start thinking, okay, how can I give him responsibility? Do I give him less responsibility? Do I give him more responsibility? Do I ask her for responsibility, or do I suggest or invite for responsibility to her? Now, when you start using this vocabulary, suddenly in anything and everything starts popping up, and you start seeing opportunities and opportunities and opportunities. And then you just start giving them, because they're beautiful opportunities, because it's your child or it's your children, and you are thinking in favor of them. Your intentions are good, you really want to take care of them. So when you have this money of responsibilities, wealth of responsibilities with you, you are ready to give it to them, because you want them to be wealthy. And one amazing way to make somebody wealthy is to make them responsible for themselves. Responsible not for a task, right? If I say to a child, you will be responsible for snacks and drinks for the guests coming, then it's not like the child is responsible as in nothing will go wrong. Things will still go wrong, right? Things go wrong with me. I do all kinds of things. Just few years back, in my niece's marriage, I was made responsible for food and drinks, and the boys' family was pure Chinese, and I served them aloo ka samosa. Can you believe that? Even at 50 years, I completely do blunders, right? Right in a huge marriage. But anyway, so that was just to show that mistakes happen at all the time. Responsibility does not mean I'll be mistake proof. But in all that time, I was just being responsible for myself. I was not being so when the mistake happened, I just said, oh my goodness, wonderful blunder I've done. And I just went and apologized to everybody in front of everybody, because I was just being responsible for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole perspective was not about some job. If in that sense, I terribly spoiled it, right? In a sensitive scenario of marriage, I'm serving potato samosa to Chinese who don't eat potato at all. Right? So I'm saying it's interesting how when then we start thinking about responsibility. and we start giving them more and more responsibility of themselves, and we start using that vocabulary both to think through and both to recognize and also to recognize the opportunity. Then we start giving it, and when we start giving it, it will lead to a lot of issues, lot of turbulence, and that becomes masala to talk, discuss,
Right.
converse, explore, experiment, extrapolate, and
Right.
so on. So it's a whole curriculum. It's not a
I think,
one-time thing.
yeah, yeah. I think this itself is life. I guess we shouldn't look
Absolutely.
beyond this. इतना भी हो
This is like
हो जाए बहुत है इससे आगे कुछ सोचने की जरूरत भी नहीं है ऐसा
this is or living whatever. Absolutely.
there is one call which is okay ठीक है अभी आएगा तो वापस
Yeah.
cancel कर दूंगी yeah so I was just thinking how fantastic it is just to think about this entire thing as a responsibility part and not about the freedom part. And I was also thinking so many things, so many thoughts were coming to my mind when you were giving different examples that not only which I try and talk to my son about this a lot of times, not only about the actionable things, not only about the task in the houses. I think it's also important for me and him to be responsible for our own feelings, to be responsible for our own behaviors, to be responsible for our own every responses also kind. So I
Everywhere.
talk a lot and yeah, everywhere. And I talk a lot of things with him. I ask him. I also tell him every time I go back to him and say sorry. I also tell him that I think this is what I could have done, and it was me who chose this over this kind. And I feel that it's very liberating. I think it like unfolds lot of things जो वो गुत्ती हो जाती है और उसको फिर आप सीधा करते हो वैसा तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है वो कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी को बहुत सिंप्लीफाई कर देते हैं the moment this responsibility comes like we start becoming responsible for ourselves, and I think yeah that's the maybe only important journey we need to have, I guess. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
In some ways,
I had
so in
been.
some ways, in conclusion, also, in some ways, we are not responsible for our children. In some ways, we are responsible for ensuring that they understand, explore, experiment with being responsible for themselves. In our in
Yeah.
our in our vicinity, in our whatever, in our company, let's say.
Yeah. And I also feel that one thing which I have seen, how we practice and how children adapt that thing is the moment I start giving, blaming others, the moment I start giving, reasoning to others, like, you did not do that, or because of you this happened, or because of you I felt this and that. So I also see that, the moment I get into that zone, I also see that as a very big reflection to me, because my son also starts showing the similar behavior, and that becomes for me, tang 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 line, red alert. Okay, Vishruti, pause, think, where are you going, what's happening in the surrounding times, and. Yeah, I think it's very, and I don't think that we can ever teach or make children learn how to be responsible. I don't think that can. I think maybe you can facilitate the process, but yeah, unless I become responsible for my own self, I don't think that I can teach anybody that how to be responsible for your own self. I think it can only be practiced. And
Yeah, but the good news is, which is what we can discuss in the next we talk, is well, let's put it this way. Let's not say it is not possible to teach and it is not possible to learn. Let's say it's possible to teach and learn together, which is why we can do it together with our children. Yeah, it's not about me,
yeah,
it's not about him or her, it's about us together as team, as like striker, non-striker, or like partners in
yeah,
a match. We are together, and now we both can together teach, learn, explore, experiment responsibility of ourselves. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that is and I think that is really the fun part of it. To me, that is parenting. This doing this
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will do for him, or he will do for me. No, not this way. So let's explore this more in the next we talk, and yeah, let's see how we can do this. So let's little more talk about the how part, and if we, I'm sure there will be many more questions. This whole topic is much more vaster and much more interesting. So I'm sure there will be more questions. So if you have Vishruti questions, if I have questions, and if viewers have questions, let's pull them all together. We'll start with the questions, and then we'll hopefully get into a little bit of not really exactly how you do it, but how can we look at it so that we are able to kind of implement this into our day-to-day life.
Yeah, yeah, and maybe there are no formulas as such, and we are never trying to get into that zone also. But maybe just by sharing what has worked for us and what hasn't worked, we'll hear more
Wait, wait, wait. There is a
sharing and
formula.
stories
There is a
also
formula.
from.
There is a formula. I'll tell you the formula. Okay. The formula goes like this: A plus B whole square is equal to A square. No, no, listen to me. You're laughing. Hey, listen to me. Serious. Listen to me. You serious, serious. Okay. A plus B whole square is equal to A square plus B square. But what comes after this is more important. Equal to 2AB. Now this 2AB is the real. See, if we get together, yes, individually I'll be responsible for my, which is A square. Individually you will be responsible for yourself, which is B square. And then
B
this 2AB,
square.
together what we do is the big one. So the mathematics has
I got
it.
it.
And if we just look into this formula carefully, we can do wonders.
Oh God,
Done
there
that.
are some there are some guests joining us in the next week talk, and I'm sure I'm gonna tell them this formula, and they're gonna okay, Vishruti, okay, we
Right,
are
right.
there.
Yes.
Fantastic. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so yeah, so let's square our responsibility. Let's multiply our responsibilities, and let's what do you say? Let's
Let's
equalize
minus
our
also.
independence and
Minus and
minus
divide also.
that. ठीक है, चलो, minus divide also. Yes, let's do that in the next week. Yeah, yeah. With few guests joining us. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Yes.
Okay.
ठीक है. Yeah. Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you so much, Ratnesh. Every time
Welcome.
agitating me, slapping me with those hammers. Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, bye.
Bye.